In September 1849, a woman named Harriet Tubman escaped slavery in Maryland and began moving north toward freedom. She traveled only at night. She hid by day. And when food ran out, she survived on what the forest gave her. One of those gifts was a fruit most Americans have never tasted. It grew wild along rivers and forest edges, hanging heavy on trees that lined the same roots people used to escape bondage. And for a few critical weeks every September, it gave calories, nutrients, and something just as important, the ability to keep going. That fruit was the pawpaw, Asimina triloba, North America's largest native edible fruit. It tastes like a blend of mango, banana, and pineapple with a soft, custard-like texture that melts in your mouth. Nutritionally, it outperforms almost every fruit in the modern supermarket. And yet today, you won't find it in one. Not because it doesn't grow here. Pawpaw grows wild across 26 states, from Florida to Ontario, from Nebraska to New York. And not because it tastes bad. Almost everyone who tries pawpaw for the first time calls it one of the best fruits they've ever eaten. Pawpaw disappeared for one reason, a technological shift in the 1940s that reshaped American food forever. This is the story of how refrigeration quietly erased the most nutritious fruit in North America. Long before Europeans arrived, pawpaw was a staple food for dozens of indigenous nations. The Shawnee even named an entire month after the pawpaw harvest. The Powhatan word asimine eventually became the fruit's scientific name. At Russell Cave in Alabama, archaeologists have found pawpaw seeds more than 8,000 years old. Native communities didn't just gather pawpaws. They cultivated them. They spread them. They planted the best trees near their settlements. When Hernando de Soto traveled through the Mississippi Valley in 1541, his chroniclers recorded Native Americans growing pawpaw in managed groves. This wasn't wilderness food. It was agriculture. Early colonists adopted pawpaw immediately. It was abundant, free, and thrived where European fruit trees failed. George Washington served chilled pawpaws for dessert at Mount Vernon. Thomas Jefferson planted pawpaw trees at Monticello and listed Asimina triloba among the fruits he personally cultivated. In 1806, Lewis and Clark ran out of provisions in what is now Missouri. William Clark wrote that they were entirely out of provisions and subsisting on pawpaws. 3 days later, he wrote, "We could live very well on the pawpaws." They didn't just survive on it, they thrived. Nutritionally, pawpaw is exceptional. Per 100 grams, it contains about 3 times more vitamin C than apples, and twice as much as bananas. It has up to 10 times more calcium, 20 to 70 times more iron, and several times more magnesium. Its protein contains all 9 essential amino acids. Kentucky State University research shows pawpaw has a superior fatty acid profile to bananas, with higher monounsaturated fats and lower saturated fats. It also contains acetogenins, compounds being studied for anti-cancer properties. Even the tree protects itself. Its leaves and bark contain natural insecticides. No sprays, no chemicals. Built-in defense. During the Civil War, both Union and Confederate soldiers foraged pawpaws. During the Great Depression, rural families relied on them so heavily they were called the poor man's banana, and people escaping slavery followed the same trees. Pawpaw ripens in September, when nights grow longer and crops give cover. Peak season for Underground Railroad journeys. Pawpaw wasn't just food. It was survival coded into the land. So what happened? In 1938, a truck driver named Frederick McKinley Jones invented the first portable mechanical refrigeration unit. Before that, food was cooled with melting ice. Jones changed everything. For the first time, trucks could hold stable cold temperatures for days. By the 1940s, refrigerated containers appeared. By the 1950s, refrigerated rail cars became standard. By the 1960s, the cold chain became the backbone of the American food system. Suddenly, oranges in winter, lettuce in February, strawberries in January. But cold chain logistics had a price. To justify shipping food thousands of miles, fruit had to survive at least a week, preferably 2. Apples last a month in cold storage. Oranges can last up to 8 weeks. Bananas survive weeks if harvested green. A ripe pawpaw lasts 2 days. 3 if you're lucky. It bruises easily. It keeps ripening after harvest. And once ripe, it ferments fast. This isn't a defect. It's what happens when a fruit evolves for forests instead of freight. Pawpaw's natural customers were foxes, raccoons, and opossums. It didn't need to survive a 1,000-mile journey. It needed to survive the walk from tree to animal. But after 1950, American food stopped being local. Grocery chains centralized. Distribution hubs replaced farmers. Durability replaced nutrition. The cold chain couldn't use Pawpaw, so Pawpaw vanished, not by conspiracy, by logistics. By 1960, bananas from Ecuador had more shelf space than pawpaws growing in American backyards. A fruit that had fed indigenous nations for 8,000 years, colonists for centuries, and freedom seekers in silence disappeared from commerce. What did we lose? The average American eats about 35 pounds of bananas a year. Most shipped over 2,000 miles. If Pawpaw had remained in orchards, Americans would be eating a local fruit with double the vitamin C, 10 times the calcium, and many times the iron, and without refrigerated ships burning fuel across oceans. Pawpaw grows without pesticides. It is the exclusive host plant of the zebra swallowtail butterfly. When pawpaw orchards vanished, butterfly populations fell. An entire ecosystem felt the loss. Most Americans under 50 have never tasted pawpaw. They've never experienced a fruit that tastes tropical and grows in their own climate. But North America had that fruit all along. In 1990, Kentucky State University launched a formal pawpaw research program. Today, there are over 27 named cultivars. They will never survive a supermarket. They thrive at farmers' markets. In 2019, the Ohio Pawpaw Festival drew over 10,000 people. Pawpaw is returning quietly. You can plant a pawpaw tree today. In 6 to 8 years, it will bear fruit. For the next 50, it will feed you without pesticides, refrigeration, or global shipping. The same fruit that fed freedom seekers still grows wild across 26 states. It never disappeared from the land. It disappeared from our tables. Harriet Tubman didn't know about cold chains. She knew about survival. And every September, Pawpaw was there. The trees are still there. The fruit still ripens. And after 70 years, we may finally be ready to remember what we lost. Some fruits travel thousands of miles to reach you. Others are waiting in your own backyard. The next vault opens soon.